Hey, Tanvir, how are you?
Good morning. I'm very well. How are you doing? You okay?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good.
Okay, Kushpinder, let's start.
Okay, I think we can begin now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So before we begin, few requests. Kindly keep your mics off, everyone. And also, if you have any questions, maybe keep it with you, note it down with you, and we will give you answers. Or what you can do is just keep typing it in the chat box, and we will see if those questions are not answered in the webinar. Of course, we will take them up in the webinar and we will ask our esteemed guests to answer these questions for you. So kindly keep your mics off and try to listen to what our guests are here to share with us. Now, let me formally greet everyone. So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, it is with great pleasure and excitement that I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you to today's webinar on UK culture. So the culture, which is just not a reflection, but a celebration of richness, but it can only be enjoyed if you completely embrace it and understand it. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us on this journey. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our guests first. So let me introduce Mr. Chandramadan. He holds a degree of Bachelor's of Commerce honors from Delhi University and a CFA charter from the Institute of Chartered Financial Analysts of India. He spends over 2 decades in corporate finance at NIT and Hewlett Packard Asia Pacific. At HP, he set up the finance functions in India, served as a regional financial analyst in Hong Kong, and as a controller in Singapore. As a CFO for HP's personal system group in Asia Pacific and Japan, he played a key role in the HP Compaq merger and emerging market growth. He is now the founder and CFO of India's fastest growing online spoken English tutoring service. He mentors and advises the health tech profession, a platform, Nersify. Now, before we take you to the journey into the UK culture, let's look at the background first and ask Mr. Chandramadan, what was the idea that gave birth to Nersify?
Okay, sure. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome Tanvir as well. Tanvir is our expert in UK, heads talent acquisition in the UK market, and welcome Tanvir. So
thank you so much.
So let me start. I think it's a very interesting journey. When we were running this training company, EH Tutor, where many of you have been part of learning English, interview skills, IELTS, OET, etc. I think we saw a burning need and demand for nurses and healthcare workers all across the world. As you probably know, there is a shortage of 10 million, and those of you from Indian subcontinent, 1 crore nurses in shortage all across the world. So I think it started off with, I would say, by accident, that we were asked about few nurses, and those, our nurses friends were doing course with us, So we sent them to UK. They were very, very successful. Then I was asked for more, and we sent more. So quite frankly, as you know, my background, I'm not neither a doctor nor from HR, but I think I love this business where the whole idea was born with helping Western world uh, uh, with the supply of great healthcare professionals we have across the world and meet the growing demands of these markets. That's how this idea was born. I can go on with a story for 2 hours, but I think in brief, I would say that. Go ahead, Krishna. You're on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Madan, for giving us this insightful idea into the Nersify. However, it is not just helping the Western world, it is also helping the developing nations, the people who want to migrate to Western world in search of better opportunities and better lifestyle. And they are looking forward. As you can see, our viewers are increasing. So they would like to know to become successful in UK. So what are the key workplace etiquettes or rules in the UK that international professionals should be aware of? Because, the culture is so different, when they are in their own country, of course, they manage it very smoothly. But when it comes to the Western world, they have to, adopt certain etiquettes there. So how would you, help them there?
Sure. So I think just to give you a bit of a background as well, Nersify. So with that business by accident to now we are scaling it up, and it's become our vision is to make Nersify world class, probably the best in the world platform, which will help connect the healthcare professionals to hospitals worldwide. We have already placed thousands of nurses in UK, and I have personally spoken to more than 3,000 plus nurses myself, over the last 1.5 years. So to Kushpinder's question, and I'm sure many of you have this question. For many of you, this is probably the first time, you're making an international trip. That itself is very, very overwhelming. How do I get to the airport? How do I get to immigration? And how do I sort out my visa issues, etc. I will not speak about that today. But culturally, I think there are some very, very big differences. Number one, the one very big difference in international markets, or UK in particular versus India, right, or Indian subcontinent or emerging markets, if I may call it, whether you look at nurses from India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Philippines, you name it, wherever you're working from, right? If you're in emerging markets, you end up spending long hours, like maybe 10, 12 hour plus, for the amount, which is, I would say, meager. Many of the nurses I know do not make more than $500. $500, by the way, is 40,000 Indian rupees, and you can calculate everywhere else as well. Maybe 50,000 in Nepal. So you end up spending 12 hours a day, 6 days a week most of the time. So it's 70 to 72 hours of shift. And what we have seen is you get paid a very, very small amount. And you get a very different kind of respect. Whereas if you look at countries like UK, you will be treated like a prince and a princess, right? You are a princess in UK, where nurses are in shortage. So there are quite a few differences. I'll speak about communication styles. I'll speak about patient interaction, maybe a couple of more, so that what does it take to be successful there. So first of all, work-life balance. Um, NHS, of course, is a bit strained, but if you go to private, um, you will not work for more than 40 hours per week, uh, 37.5 to be precise. Um, you will enjoy. So if you work for 12 hours a day, you'll only work for 3 days, and then for remaining 2 days, remaining 4 days of the week, you enjoy life. Um, so work-life balance is very, very different. Uh, in fact, your leaves and everything is highly regulated. You're given, of course, 25 days of paid time off plus the bank holidays. Not many entrepreneurs may like it, but I think the the reality is you have a great work-life balance because they would like you to do so. When you are taking care of patients, they want to make sure you are refreshed and charged up to take care of patient, to provide best patient care service. That's what many hospitals, many private hospitals would expect to provide to provide that kind of service. A service that is, uh, you know, uh, very, very heavily patient centered. I mean, we work with a lot of the private hospitals. Circle Health is one example, where one of the I guess leading guiding value is patient-centric approach, right? Whereas in emerging markets, you'll probably not find that, right? You know, some because of the population, right? India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, there's so many people, right? If somebody wants an injection, somebody wants to, get an operation done, it's like uh, you running a factory. You run one operation after the other. But whereas in UK, you will see that patients are very, very well taken care of, especially in the private hospital. uh, I think professional etiquette like punctuality, being on time, right? uh, of course, there's a joke about Indian standard time or Indian stretchable time or Indian subcontinent stretchable time, if you may call it that way. I think being there on time is absolutely uh, required. So punctuality is very, very important. Dress code is very, very important. Um, and you see this in professional world as well, right? People are, although it's changing with the Gen Z, who doesn't believe in coats and the ties. Uh, I think usually you are expected to be formal, but if you are, uh, in the healthcare world, of course, the minimum you expect is uh, that you are in your formal dress, and you can't wear the formal dress outside the hospital as well. So I think these are small little things um, which are important. Um, and I'll probably comment more, but the last but not the least is hierarchy. Most British organizations I've seen hospitals are very, very flat. Okay, so what does that mean? So uh, you need to be able to step up and contribute beyond your silo and beyond your role. So a lot of teamwork is expected. So for example, you know in an operation theater, you are expected to work with doctors, attendants, other, if a scrub nurse, with the circulatory nurse, ward nurse, and that collaboration is very, very important. So teamwork is absolutely important, and this is one of the point that most of the hospital will check before hiring you. So I'll say, I think communication style that's polite, not pushy. Uh, Even when you talk to people, you make a eye contact and don't look at your phone, as an idea. Uh, Patient interaction has to be, very, very bespoke, highly customized service, focused around the patient. Professional etiquette like punctuality and dress code, and uh, you know work-life balance I talked about already, which is fantastic. And as I said, the hierarchy is very, very flat, right? So you got to be playing a very, very good team player role. So I think these are some of the key factors which will help you become successful. Again, I'm sure we're going to cover more, but at a very, very high level, you know, uh, that's what probably you should be looking for. And in our trainings, in our interview discussions, as we prepare you, we do focus on these topics. So make sure that you are very well prepared to take care of this, right? Maybe in the social side, Tanvir can comment on how nurses spend the weekends, and what can you do, and what are the fun activities? So Tanvir, maybe you want to add.
I guess on that,
Yes, Mr. Tanveer Ratan. I'm sorry. We would really love to know, like Mr. Madan just told us about how, one has to be completely professional, in the approach when it comes to working in the UK. So how would you explain the social fabric of UK, like a social life of UK? Since
well,
you are, I believe, born and brought up in UK.
that's correct. That's correct. That's
Yeah,
correct.
right.
So good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, wherever you're based in the world. It's still morning here in the UK. It's 11:46 in the morning. So on the social aspects of stuff in the UK, the best thing about London or England or Scotland in a whole, it's such a diverse country. You've got a whole variety of different cultures, and the UK British people, I would like to say, welcome different cultures and different people from around the world. So, what I would say on the social side, we'll talk about the social side. I would say there's so much to do here. We have gyms that are open 24 hours of the day. You have big shopping centers and malls, which, have a variety of different types of shops, as well as then the restaurants. You have the Indians, the Vietnamese, the Nepalese, and you have Chinese, and they like to cater for all. So I would say, you would not be bored, I would say, here in the UK, because you're always going to be finding something to do. If it's not sightseeing in London town, which is so much to do. I was born and brought up here, and I still have not seen certain places of London that I see online. And I'm like, hey, where is this? I live literally 10 miles away from central London, and I still haven't fully explored my own city, which is very shameful for me, but I will do it in due time. Um, and the good thing that we have here is, depending on your cultural aspects as well, we have a lot of different temples here. Depending on what your faith is, you're always going to find a local temple for you guys to, worship and pray. That's the main thing. And yeah, so you'll have a lot of variety of socializing to do. That's even to the parks. We have a lot of parks here, where the kids get together, play in the parks, or you have like lots of cricket games going on and football games going on. So there's an endless amount of activities and things to do on the times that you do have off. Even if that means you stay at home, you can just order off your phone and order food in, or do anything you like. You're never ever going to get bored here. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And so sightseeing, apart from sightseeing, tell us about food, because, people who are pouring in from different, continents, they
Yeah.
have been, having different food. How can they get adjusted to the food of the UK? So do you think they will find it tasty?
Oh, 100%. Because the one thing that I could go back to is, they're very culturalized. So even in say if you are located in a town that's not that in a big city, for example, you're not going to get that much of a variety of the same culture. The good thing about here, so we have big supermarkets called Tesco's or Asda or Sainsbury's, for example. They have specific aisles called international aisles, which is only international food. So, for the Indians, you'll get like, you get your atta, you get your lentils, the dal, you'll get like, subjis, like, all the aubergines and cauliflowers and stuff like that. So you'll get a taste of every single culture within these large supermarkets, which are always in particular, like all across the world, across the country, I should say. So I would say on the food aspects of stuff, if you are not open to trying different types of food, then you will not get stuck, because there are there is everything to get here, no matter where you're based in the UK. You know, if you're based in a main city, like for example, I'm in London, I can go 1 mile down the road, and there are so many different varieties of shops where they cater for everybody. So there's Indian-owned shops. There's people who are Indian owners who import everything from India here into the UK. Yeah, they might be slightly more expensive because obviously the import tax and import and everything, but you know, you will not miss out on the food side of things. That's for sure. I can assure you that it might not taste the same, but
Yeah.
it's going to be very similar.
Right, right.
And
Very
sorry to
relieved
interrupt,
to know.
but sometimes it can taste even better. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That could taste even better.
Uh, because
Okay.
all the premium stuff is being exported, right? So
Uh,
all the Alfonsos, all the very very good spices are being exported. So
yeah.
Tan, what's the favorite dish for Britishers?
So if you was to Google this question, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it is. I'm 99.9% sure. I was watching a documentary about this as well. If you ask a UK citizen or a British person, you know, let's say a Christian, for example, say to him, "What is your best meal?" They would say chicken tikka masala. So they would say a chicken curry with rice. So there are so many Indian restaurants across the country, in small villages to big cities like this, where chicken curry is the #1 dish for the UK people. Usually it should be fish and chips. So you get that cod that's battered in, you know, in corn flour, then deep fried, and then chips, you know, just fried chips, which is very bland to us, you know, cultural people, because we like flavorsome, right? Um, it was that, but now, because you know, a lot of you know, we've had a lot of mixture of cultures and people open up their taste buds a little bit. Now they have basically said chicken tikka masala is the #1 UK dish now.
Well, well, well. Now, the first British actually went out and spread Christianity and English. Now, it's other cities. It's other cities are giving new culture, new taste. Now, British doesn't have to go anywhere to spread, but other culture is coming to them. So they
Oh,
are doing
100%,
big part.
100%. I was last night I went to a restaurant called Sahava Bhavan. It's a well-known restaurant that does like masala dosa. Majority of people know what that is, for example. And kid me not, right? There was, I would say, you know, out of 100 people that was in that restaurant, I would say, you know, 30 of them were not from an Indian background. So, you know, there were British people that want to taste different types of food and, you know, not shy to coming into restaurants that are owned by Indians, and just, you know, so the culture is very mixed. And we like that as well because, uh, you know, it shows that they are showing interest to our culture, our mother tongue and our culture as well, and vice versa.
Well said, well said. So British is embracing all cultures equally,
Yeah,
right?
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
So now I would like to ask Mr. Madan, you know, there was a movie I think people watched and they are little, intimidated by this language, English. Okay. There, the main cast, she goes to US and she finds herself in a pickle, like, oh my God, how is she going to communicate there? So now the same kind of fear our nurses have. So what is the typical communication style practices in UK healthcare setting? So can you just shed a light on that? Because now they should be understanding these improved collaborations and patient care in a multicultural nursing teams.
Sure, sure. Before I answer this question, I think on the follow up on the food point. So apart from
Right.
chicken tikka, I think I'm just although I'm a vegetarian, I'm still that was still mouth-watering. But I think my Nepalese friends on the call, I think there is enough stores for making, momos as well. Okay, so don't worry, everything is
Oh yeah,
available.
you ain't got to worry about that. Everything is there. Everything is there.
So, so coming back to this point, I think, of course, English is a global language and will take you places if you are able to connect with citizens globally, international citizens. And I think my suggestion to most people, who are going to UK as a nurse, you've anyway gone through IELTS. If you've cracked IELTS, I think you can comprehend most of it. And even if you don't understand, okay, do not worry. Okay, speak in your and don't worry about you not having. I mean, Tan and I have different accents, right? And don't worry about whether your accent is now sounding as good or as close to British accent. Don't worry about it. I think just maintain your natural accent, speak the language, and speak with confidence, right? And that's number one. Number two, there are various, apps available in our partner company ES Tutor, which I founded. There's a app which is free, so we're not selling anything here. There's an app which is free, Simply English. Use that app, right? It will give you all the phrases for learning the language. So that's on the language side. But I think communication style is very, very simple. I think it needs to be polite and not so much pushy, maybe indirect sometimes. So, for example, once you land in the hospital, you do not like few things about the accommodation you are in, which is provided by the hospital, or you not care about the processes, right? Or you have a concern that you like to highlight, right? Instead of, if you are in Indian subcontinent, you go to your manager and say, hey, boom, 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 this doesn't work, right? But there, I think you need to be a little bit more polite because it's still a king's language. And, it's a language of a lot of thank yous and sorries, and I'm sure Tal will tell you. So be very polite. Don't be very direct. So if you want to even raise an issue, I think talk about few things positively first. So, for example, if you don't like your manager or certain things that you don't like about the ward manager, talk about what is going well with the hospital, right? What is so great about the manager? Talk about strengths, talk about positive points. And if, let's say, manager gets angry at you very often, okay, and you want to complain about that, you say, hey, so let's pick on Tanvir, right? Let's say Tanvir is the manager, right? Sorry, Tanvir, for picking on you, but let's say Tanvir is the manager, and you say, hey, Tanvir is very jolly, very, very helpful, great mentor, but so talk about positive stuff, and then say, it'll be nice if we could be coached one-on-one if there is an issue, right? Or may I suggest that we do things little differently? Or these are terms we don't know and we are new to this place. Could you please consider, helping to guide us to orientate us for a way that could work in UK, because this may be new for us. So I think going in the form of suggestions would be very, very helpful. Don't go for direct attack, because that will not be helpful, and I'm sure Tanvi can add more to it. When you talk to a person, I think make an eye contact. Like I always tell in my interviews, when we have the discussions for interview skills training, we always talk about, hey, look into the camera. That means looking into the eye, right? So if somebody's talking to you and you're looking left, right, and center, it just shows you are disinterested. That's not the impression you want to convey to other person. Or watch your body language, right? If somebody is talking to you and you are you're banging on the table or tapping the table, which means you are in a hurry, or you are looking at your phone, it seems like you're in a hurry, you're not interested, right? So some of those I think not just in UK, anywhere internationally, I think these things will be helpful. So be polite, be sometimes indirect, on the non-verbal side, make, I make a direct eye contact, refrain from using phones when you're in a meeting or when you're, on a social uh, uh, gathering like lunch or a dinner or a drink with somebody. The third thing is that sometime in Indian subcontinent, we will expect that our colleagues will invite us for lunch or dinner or coffee, right? So if you are in a hospital canteen or cafeteria, and you want to make friends, you can ask them, hey, can I join you for lunch? 99% of the time they will say yes. Okay. But if you don't, voluntarily come forward and be proactive, you'll be left behind. You will not make friends, right? Um, uh, the other thing is, make them part of your culture, right? So many of us celebrate Deepavali and uh, uh, Dasara and Tihar in Nepal. I think there are many other festivals in India as well. Uh, so if let's just, for example, Deepavali, bring your favorite mithai to the office. Say, hey, this is our whatever equivalent of British dish that you would like to. This is like our Christmas, so you would like to share some sweets with us, right? So I think be very polite, be inclusive, be part of the social circle, and nobody's going to invite you. Voluntarily be part of it so that you can be included in their culture as well, right? And purely on the English language side, I mean, you know, uh, like you do in IELTS test, listen to about 20 or 30 audio tapes of uh, you know, uh, audio tapes in British accent, and you will be fine after that. Okay, because you are then in tune to the culture, in tune to that accent, and you will start to understand. And even if you can't do that, let me tell you, in 6 months, you will start to pick up British accent. I've seen a lot of nurses who speak very differently now than they used to speak to me in the interview process. Okay, so don't be afraid about this. Just take the proactive step to make sure that you are being included in the culture, and you will get the communication side very, very easy. Dan, you want to add anything?
I think on the basis of that, I can totally agree, and I will 100% agree when you mentioned bringing in food, because that's something that I do when I go into the offices. My mum makes like onion bhajis. We call them onion bhajis, but pakora or bhajia, what are you going to call it, right? Or that dokra or some certain types of food. I love taking food into the offices where there's
Hey,
and I'm providing it to everybody who are not from the Indian culture or the Asian or from the East, because one, you're breaking the ice. So I'll totally agree. You're breaking the ice with the certain individuals there. You're inviting them into a different type of
Rambo.
cuisine or different type of culture. So yes, I'll 100% agree. That definitely does work because I have done that many of times. And don't be shy to have that conversation with somebody. Ask them, what's it like living here? What do you guys do? What do you guys usually eat? Where do you go and go for the weekends and so on. The more you talk to people, the more confident you'll get, and the more better understanding you'll have on a day-to-day living of the UK. 100%.
Well, thank you for letting us know such a different perspective. Actually, here everybody used to feel that I don't want to use this word, but they felt they might not like so much of openness, because how Indians are, they can just go and knock at the door, neighbor's door, and they would say, "Hey, can I borrow a cup of sugar?" Does it happen in like Britain
Do you know
as
what?
well?
I would say everybody's different. Everybody's different. But usually, yes, it does. Like it depends. You have to build a rapport with that certain individual first. If
Nice.
you and it's the way you kind of come across. And if you say, give me some sugar. Somebody's going to react and be like, no, but you have to be polite. Hi, how are you doing? How is the family? How are the kids? Build up a rapport a little bit and be like, hey, do you mind if I borrow, some sugar, please? I'm just making tea, my family around. Um, and be grateful, say thank you for it. Just the simple things like that. And even one of the questions that you're probably going to ask me is, politeness goes a very, very far
Right,
way.
right,
You know,
right.
you have to be polite. We're all human at the end of the day. We have to, if somebody walks in front of you or, whatever, you say, excuse me or thank you. It's little things like this gets a very far way. Firstly, it shows your character as an individual. Secondly, you're giving that good energy and you're bound to, you know, have some positivity back amongst yourself. I'll give you an example. If you're walking down the street, somebody's walking like this and there's no way to move, some people will stuck up and will not move out the way. But it doesn't stop us to stop, put our body to the side and let their pass through. Some people come from that background where they don't care and they'll just walk straight into the person and whatever. But sometimes you just got to be the bigger person and say, there you are. And then, if somebody does it to you, say thank you. Thank you very much. Little things like that. Really makes a big difference.
Okay, thank you so much. But sometimes, they will be a stranger in an alien place. So, first step, they would not like to make a first move. So, what is going to happen then? Like, they will not approach their neighbors, and neighbors are not going to approach them. So so this gap is just going to keep widening if they don't approach and nobody approaches them. So, they would also feel that after saying hi and hello, what is the next topic that they would speak on? Like a small talk.
One thing that brings everybody together is food.
Food.
Yes.
Okay.
And drinks, and the beer, right?
Yeah, and a bit. But for the non-meat eaters and the non-alcoholic drinkers, one thing that will definitely bring everybody together is food. So a good thing about us from the Far East, like my mother's side and everyone, we have a lot of culture, a lot of festivals, and a lot of things where we celebrate. So what stops us? What stops us of bringing mitai or bringing dokara, bringing something over, jalebis over to next door? Hey, we're doing a celebration. This is for you. That's what we have to do. So that breaks the ice. So doing something like that, makes a very big difference. I've done it. My next door neighbors are from Afghanistan, right? They're from Afghanistan. We don't really speak, but they during Eid, which was 2 months ago, I believe. I think 2 months ago, something. They made a big pot of biryani, and for them to break the ice with us, they come over and gave us a pot of biryani. And, hey, Eid, this is for you guys. So, and then from then, it broke the ice, and that's how we, conversate now. We're like, hi, how you doing? I'm like, where's the rest of the food? I want some more food or something like that. So yes, I would say food always brings everybody together.
Great advice, Tanvir. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Now, yes. So this question is for social etiquette as well as from the work point view. So we talked about what the do's of moving to UK. I would now like to know about don'ts. Like, what are the mistakes or the errors that they can avoid? Like, they are no, they should never do it.
I would think acting like this is their, okay, I don't want to sound rude, but I would say acting like this is exactly how it is back home. Does that make sense? How they're from, or where they're from? I know everybody has their own habits and certain things. And say, for example, okay, I don't know why I have this in my head right now. Before we go into a house in back home, we'll take our shoes off outside the house, for example, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A majority of the people that are going to be moving over, they're going to be in apartment blocks where a lot of normal people are going to be walking up and down the stairs. The last thing that you want to see is loads of shoes outside in a hallway, in a public hallway, of that particular place, of that person's apartment. So I would say, that is one of the key things, and just kind of be willing to change and adapt to different cultures and different mindsets and your surroundings. So that will be the number one key thing, for you to do. So do not come in as a tunnel visioned. I'm going to live exactly how I was back home here. You have to come in, being diverse and being open and willing to adapt to this culture.
Yeah.
Right.
And, if I may just add to, sorry, Tanvir.
No.
Yeah. So I think if I may add to that, there are few big cultural differences that people should be aware of, right? It may sound very, very normal or very small stuff. For example, if you're, getting into a bus uh, or a train, right? You let the people who are getting down first before you barge in. Like in Indian subcontinent, you'll first boom. You want to go in first, right? That's a clear. I mean, on social side, that's a clear no, right? Um, Simple things like, uh, again, this may sound very basic and rudimentary, but pedestrians have right of way when you are walking on the road, or so if you are crossing the road on a red light, make sure you go fast and don't keep checking on the phone, because there might be cars waiting behind you, right? So be careful, right? As Tanvir said, if you are stuck somewhere where of course you face each other and there's enough way, you for example, if you're going to a simple restaurant and there is a woman behind you, open the door for her. It may not be very common in Indian subcontinent, right? But open the door for them, please. Okay. And if you are a lady, enjoy that luxury, right? So the point is, these are very small little things. These are cultural differences, right? We will not see it here. Oh, being never be late, right? Punctuality is very, very important. Even if you're late by 1 second, okay, in and it's okay if you are. I mean, it's not okay that you're late, right? But if you are going to be late in a very, very rare circumstances, inform the other person. Okay, inform the other person that, hey, I'm going to be late, and it's unprofessional to be late in a work setting, especially. And as I was saying, in the workplace, demonstrate very, very high level of ethics and integrity. Make sure something that we could say in India, chalta hai, right? It will say, okay, everything goes. It doesn't, it's not chalta in Britain or other places, right? So be very, very careful, maintain very, very high level of professional standards, and make sure that you are focusing on the patient in a way that the whole service revolves around them. So it has to be a patient-centric approach, instead of saying here, oh, there are too many patients, I don't care. No, that doesn't work there. Other things, I think Pushpinder was talking about small talks. I think Indian subcontinent, you could walk into anybody's cubicle and say, hi, how are you? And you can have all gossips around the neighbor and the sas and the bahu and all the stuff that happens, right? Clear no. Okay, you maintain. First of all, you need to maintain a very, very professional relationship with your colleagues. Okay, uh, usually, or if you're dealing with patients, of course, um, and there's nothing beyond just the beyond the professional setting. It doesn't need to be there, and it should not be there. You should just refrain from maintaining any relationship beyond the workplace or beyond the hospital if you're working, of course, in the hospital. And last but not the least, no gossips from the cooler or coffee machine. No, absolutely no. Okay, because we have all the time in the world here, right? Sorry, it's not. Okay, those of you who work with me, they will know that I will, even in India, when you work with me, I will say, if you want a minute, it's better be good. But quite frankly, everywhere around the world, uh, during the work hours, and that's why I think I love the way they maintain work-life balance. 9 to 5 or whatever time it is, work hours, they will give their best. Okay, no gossips, no time wasters. Uh, uh, but at the same time, once the work is done, after the work hour, nobody disturbs each other, right? And you enjoy your life, right? Friday after 4 o'clock, nobody will work, right? Uh, so I think there are professional etiquettes one need to maintain um, in an environment like this. And as Tan rightly said, you know, uh, if there are changes, if the things are not happening the way it used to happen at home, I guess you need to, start getting used to new culture and adapt it quickly, because that will be your key to growth. Otherwise, you'll be, stuck in your home country mentally, although physically you are in UK.
Right. Thank you so much. But this is so much of information, and I hope nurses would be wondering that all these information and some training is provided to them before they move to completely alien state and start working there, right? Yes. Do get in touch with Nersify, and they take care of you from door to door, right? From your exams, and then they take your documents. They will look at the profiles, match the profiles, your job descriptions, and they will fix your interviews. They don't only fix the interviews, but they prepare you for those interviews thoroughly, and they also prepare you for the cultural assimilation that can happen when you move to UK. So you get A to Z training and help, complete assistance. I do remember, even Nersify does accommodations, even I think transportation, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Madan.
Yeah. So I think the whole postal service is covered, and definitely. So I think you said it very well. And if you need any help, you can reach out to us on hello@nersify.co.uk. I think you will be able to get most of your answers. More importantly, on the cultural aspects, before you depart. So let's say you get selected, you're ready to go, and a few days before your flight, or at least a week before your flight, my team will uh, go through all the documentation you need to carry, and also cover some aspects of this cultural uh, orientation that you need to have, right? So they will cover that. And as Kushpinder said, they are there for you end to end, to provide end to end support. um, so do take advantage of that, as it is absolutely free.
And if I'm not wrong, Mr. Madan, you also asked your candidates which part of London would they want to be in, so that the accommodation and transportation and the work travel could be very easy. So
Yes.
I think, yeah. Can you just shed some light on that?
Sure. So it's a broadly, there's a lot that goes in helping our nurses move to UK. It starts with all the screening process, where we uh, help you prepare your resumes, help you with interview skills training that, of course, Kushpinder has been taking. And we will also help you with uh, uh, you know uh, preparation for the hospital rounds, down to the questions you could potentially see. So all of that preparation, our team you know is ready to do that. It doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you are not on the red list country. Uh, and even in some red list country, we help. But usually, if you're not in the red list country, which means you are eligible to go to UK and you have the right background and the experience and the resume, I think your expertise, you will go. So right from screening to interview training, uh, uh, to, in some cases, IELTS or OET preparation. Um, and then once you are to organizing interviews, once you're selected, the whole post-selection process, from uh, helping you to get your medical test done, to visa, to certificate of sponsorship, to finally applying visa to VFS. And once your visa arrives, your air travel, accommodation, etc. is well taken care of. In most cases, we will be able to give you, we ask your choice of location because UK is very, very, you know, uh, uh, it's very diverse as far as I've seen. Um, so the cost in London could be very, very high. So let's say if you're going with family, you may want to consider lower cost location like Manchester or even closer to Scotland, places like Aberdeen, Edinburgh, and those kind of places. But if you are single, love to enjoy uh, a great life with tussle bustle and London, of course, right? But it's going to be very, very expensive, right? You won't be able to save much money out there. Okay. Uh, so I think all of that is well taken care of. Nersify team is there for you, and we are there to support you. The team of professionals. I'm sure you know many names like Manisha and Kanishka and Anup and all the people. Shikha. I think all these people, and then we have on the south side we have Nef and Abhirami, and of course in Nepal we have our teams. So all of these people are behind you to support. Is there to support you. Reach out to them. If you have friends who want to go for theater jobs, reach out to them and they will be happy to take care of the process end to end.
Okay. So this was really enlightening. I'm sure the nurses in different continents, the viewers who are listening to us, they will benefit from this, this program that we are sponsoring. We are, airing it. But, one more thing that we would like everyone to know that we have been receiving these queries here regarding why, what is the visa process, what is the documents required. So today we were covering only UK culture because we had a prequel to this webinar where we had, covered some scenarios and some questions and some cultural aspects. But we had a few queries left and we thought of, again, bringing some experts like Mr. Madan and Tanveer, who lives and who is born and brought up in UK. So to give you a, better side, because there are very, these questions when there are interviews, when there are screening done, again and again, the nervousness of the nurses is seen. They keep asking little question, little information as to how it will happen. And there are some who are still afraid to come out and venture into the world. So I hope this seminar or this webinar has quelled those fears. And if you want more information, please reach out to us. All the information is given to you in the chat box. And yes, Mr. Madan, yes, please add. Yes.
Sorry, so I'm seeing a lot of questions around, interviews not happening. I have submitted my resume. Are the visa rules changing? So let me just quickly say a few lines and then hopefully you know what's happening. UK was a bit slow in hiring because of two reasons. Number one, the visa rules had changed for healthcare assistants, not for registered nurses. And number two, if you were trying to apply for a job to NHS, virtually there was no hiring in last 6 months. I can tell you that. Okay. However, private hospitals were still hiring, not to the extent they would hire otherwise. But the good news is, first of all, the elections are announced already. I think on 4th July, Mr. Rishi Sunak has already announced those elections. And once that is over, I think the funding will come through NHS. And so those of you who want to go to NHS, again, I'm not the spokesperson of NHS, but this is my guess that NHS will start hiring soon. Okay, number one. Number two, private hospitals, we can help you. The hiring is happening. Hiring is happening fast now. Private hospitals have begun, or rather, resumed the hiring process. For example, this month alone, we had 40 theater interviews. Okay, 40 international nurses theater interviews. Next month onward, it is going to be even more. So, if you're working in theater, especially orthopedics, rush your resume now. Okay, because you may be queued up for interview as quickly as next week. Number two, if you're working in ward, thank you for your patience. There are going to be more vacancies coming soon, okay, for private hospitals. And we are already getting a lot of requests. So please send in your resumes. Please do be a little patient with the team because they are handling almost 500 queries a day. Okay. But trust me, we go through every single query that is received, and we would be, happy to take care of your particular requirement as well. If you are going to go to home care, I'm sorry to deliver the bad news that your dependent can't go with the visa rule changes. So home care, guys, I wish I had a better news for you, but if you're willing to go to UK, then you should be prepared to go alone. But let me tell you, there is abundant supply of home care workers in UK. So it is not going to come very, very easy for you. Okay. These are not so great news, but I think I'd rather be upfront and let you know than, giving you a false hope. But if you're a registered nurse, especially with theater experience, rush your resume now. Number two, if you are ward nurse in medical surgical, you will be very quickly put up in the queue and will be put forward for the interview with the hospital. So be there, be ready, and our team will be able to help you. I know it's a cultural topic, but I saw a lot of questions on this, so I thought I'll address those as well. And by the way, if you have friends in UK who are already there looking for a job, Tanveer is the guy to be contacted. Okay, he's looking for a lot of nurses who are already in UK and wanting to shift or change hospitals.
Well, that was good information that, our nurses got today, because, those questions were really piling up and everybody was, this kind of confusion, there has to be someone, they can go to and ask. And so, yes, now our nurses know that NHS will open maybe after elections, but there are few vacancies, like Mr. Madan said, for orthopedic nurses or theater nurses, so they can rush in their resumes. But however, even others should be ready. But because if NHS comes through and the funding comes through, they should be ready to jump on the boat. Okay, so ready means what? You have to get your proficiency test done soon, so you can contact Nersify. They get OET, they provide OET and IELTS coaching. Okay, and there they will keep on, assisting you till you land UK. So start the ball rolling by getting your proficiency tests over, because they are valid till 2 years. IELTS or OET, whichever you want to do it. Come to Nersify and they will help you with it. Any last words, Mr. Madan, before we wrap up?
No, I think thank you for joining in, and thanks Talveer, thanks Pushpinder for doing a great job.
Thank you.
As I said, if you're still looking for a job, send your resume to hello@nersify.co.uk. We'll be happy to help you. Thank you and have a great weekend.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you all.
Thank you, everyone. And I hope this webinar has given you a lot of hope and information. And keep tuning in. We are, every Saturday, we are on webinar. We keep floating our flyers. So do, keep tuning in, and you will receive a lot of information so that, you can, your dreams, you can fulfill them. Okay, with those hopes, we say goodbye and thank you to our guest speakers, Mr. Madan and Mr. Tanveer Ratan. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.